Hello, all my musical minions. Welcome to the Forgotten OneCast. I am your host, CJP. And tonight we were going to do a spotlight on a local artist here near me. Unfortunately, his schedule has precluded that from happening. So we will be getting that rescheduled because I really do want to highlight the stuff that he's been doing on YouTube because it's fucking awesome. And wanted to also just quickly, briefly before we get started, I did want to talk a little bit about the new Beatles track today because I'm a huge Beatles fan. I mean, no, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but family wise, I grew up on the Beatles. I mean, my mom, basically everything up until Rubber Soul, that was her jam. Everything from Sgt. Pepper's On was my dad's jam. So, and I really felt myself loving the middle. So I've been listening to the Beatles since before I was born, very literally. And so the new track came out today, Now and Then, that they were trying to finish with Anthology. And they were able to finally have the technology to be able to pull John's vocal out of the demo that he recorded back in the 70s. And it's gorgeous. And I will admit I teared up a little bit because now I can share a new Beatles song with my kids, which is what my parents got to do with me when Anthology came out in 95 and 96. So it's one of those things, say what you will about the Beatles. They're probably the only band that has really crossed generations in such a tremendously huge way. And I'll freely admit that I became a drummer because of Ringo. I mean, he's not the greatest, but he taught me what a pocket drummer is. Someone who plays to the music, not to what he feels he needs to play at the time, which, that to me was a very valuable lesson to learn as a musician. Exquisite thumbs up. I love the song. It's so beautiful. And just, being able to hear all of them together again, for the last time is pretty incredible. I never thought I would hear another new Beatles track in my lifetime. So that's been fantastic. But we're not talking about the Beatles today. We're talking Rastlin, that southern Rastlin that we all grew up watching, especially any of us who were teenagers in the 90s and watching the Monday Night Wars and the fun back and forth between WCW and the WWF before they got the F out and became all corporatized and PG. So we're going to bring on Mr. Etep Wokuian. He's been a guest on the show a couple times before, but we're going to lean more on his wrestling knowledge as we go through, so that he can bring a more insider perspective on entrance music and what it does for wrestlers and in helping to shape and bring out their personas as they entertain the fans. So without further ado, Mr. Etep Wokuian, or should I call you Pete Daddy Dollar?
You can call me whatever you want, bro. Pete Daddy Dollar, my old work name, man. That was my professional wrestling gimmick. And it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
Well, I figured I can always find a topic music-wise that I know that I can rely on you on to give a different perspective on. So,
oh yeah, definitely. This is definitely my wheelhouse. Is in what the 10 years I was in the business, I had no less than I think 16 different entrance songs, entrance themes, and yeah, it was easy to pick a song when I didn't have to worry about copyright because we were when the last company I worked for, IWE, we had cable access for about 20 states. So I had to find a copyright free song, and picking something with no words that connects with your gimmick and your like, it was my tag partner and he's like, you pick the song. He goes, I'll let you pick because I had the old one and I didn't like it. So I'll let you pick. I'm like, all right. So I found this song on this free music site called Toxic Swamp. And I listened to about literally 30 songs and I'm like, I like the way it hit. And I'm like, it's not NWO, but I'm like, we can make this ours and make it work because of the beat. And I can pull it up. I can find it. But it's not bad. It worked for us, given the restrictions we had to work with. Had I known the amount of people I do now, present company included, I would have had a custom theme. But years ago, I didn't have anywhere near the musical connections I have now.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was kind of like being at the mercy of whatever I could find or was willing to pay for.
Right.
And when you're making $10 to drive, 80 miles for, 2 tapings in a weekend, then have to stay for the whole weekend to train and all that, it's like, I'm just gonna find a free song.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But speaking of, having to pay for the working man, I do have a quick word from our sponsor.
Nuts.
Pilkington.
All right.
Are you team coffee or are you team green tea? Try coffeebrandcoffee.com and enjoy 10% off your order with promo code CJP. Coffee Brand Coffee, great coffee, no gimmicks.
First time I played that, the chat asked me if I was on drugs or if they were.
I was watching it going like, am I that stoned right now?
But it's memorable. And that's
It is.
That's the perfect thing when you're wanting to promote a brand. But I do want to thank Jeremy from the Quartering, because he's say what you will about his politics, of whether you like him or you don't. The fact that he's letting small streamers like me being able to make some extra duckies, promoting his coffee, and it actually is good coffee. It really is. It's not like, I'm just saying it to say it. It's actually pretty good coffee, and it's not that expensive, and it's all made here in the U.S. So I can't complain too much about that.
I might have to try some of that and use your promo code then, because I drink a lot of coffee.
He's got a lot of he's got a lot of different styles too. I mean, he's got the obligatory pumpkin spice, because that's cocaine to white girls.
It is. I'm glad my wife isn't like one of those Ugg boot Han Solo vest pumpkin spice drinking white girls. I didn't marry one of those, thank God. I was joking around the other day, and we were I can't remember where we were buying pumpkins, and I'm taking a picture of her and Trey, and I'm like, hey, honey, I'm like, get one of me. And she's taking, I'm like, Sunset Heart hands, Sunset Heart. She's like, oh my God, stop.
Oh, that's fantastic. So into entrance themes. I mean, music in wrestling's been linked for really quite a long time. Of course, I don't know the history enough to know really who was the first one to really use entrance music.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, once television really hit big in the 80s and the Rock and Roll Connection hit, music in wrestling just became like this.
Oh, they're synonymous with each other.
Yeah. And it can make or break a wrestler. It really can. If you give them the wrong music, it just destroys the whole gimmick.
Okay, for example, we can jump to 94, 95 WCW. Tag team of Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs, the American male. American males, American males, It's like, oh my God, this song was made by aliens who had no idea what wrestling or an American male was.
I'm gonna bet I'm betting that Jimmy Johnson wrote that, or not, or Jimmy Hart wrote that.
He did so many of the older themes. I have the wrestling album. Remember the wrestling album? I have the cover for that on the shelf back there, I think, or it might be hanging up on the wall here. But he produced so many of those songs. I remember the one, was it? Yeah, Eat Your Heart Out, Rick Springfield, Jimmy Hart. I mean, yeah, he did so many of those. And
I'm guessing that was he probably lost a bet. He's like, I bet you can't make a horrible entrance theme for this really crappy gimmick. And he's like, hold my beer.
Yep. Yep. That seems about right for
of course, WCW. The biggest problem with them is, they had all the money for Turner, but they really didn't spend a lot on music, because you could tell a lot of those were just generic, create a wrestler #1 themes.
Oh, they were. They were
or
bad.
they did the I don't want to pay royalties to certain individuals in the music industry, so we're gonna change a chord in the progression and call it a new song that's not copywritten.
Pearl Jam for Pearl Jam was Jericho.
Yep.
He had
Even
Flow, which that one, and then you had DDP with
Smells Like Teen
Spirit,
Yep.
Nirvana, and then Ravens was one of my favorite with Come As You Are. Dude, those first couple chords, I mean, it's just, it was so perfect for him. That I don't care gimmick. Yes, he's the man they call Sting, Oh, yeah. Yep. That was back in the Blonde Surfer days. I actually don't mind that song because it worked for that high energy gimmick. Later on, when he went to that orchestral type arrangement with the Crow type Sting, that worked when he was the silent. And then when he became more aggressive and vocal and started talking again and used Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
Then it was like WCW was like, okay, they had Kiss. They had they were using some ICP stuff because the Clowns came over. So they were, of course, able to use that. Vampiro had a good one too. I can't remember what his was based on.
Jesus, it was long.
But his one theme was really good. Hulk Hogan's American Made in that. It wasn't bad, but it was like so clearly like, and you said Jimmy Hart, I think, did write that one too.
Yeah.
Let's take the WWF theme and come as close as we can without blatantly just copying it beat for beat.
Yep. Oh yeah. But it still worked. I mean, it
did.
It still had the gimmick. But we've got a surprise entrant, number 30 in the Royal Rumble, Mr. Pop Cyclops himself, Adam Shawhan, the Superfan. How you doing, Mr. Adam?
Good, man. Good. It takes a minute to get all these wiener dogs, to bed. So yeah.
There was a very much of a pregnant pause between wiener and dog there, my friend.
That's right. That's how it's been for 6 years, 8 years, however long we've been doing this. But yeah, man. Sorry, I was running a few minutes late though. I had to get the dog.
You're perfectly fine. No, he did actually come out to Voodoo Child for a while.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that
Amen.
That was when they had established the NWO, and they're like, okay, we need a different song. And it was funny too because by the time Hogan came to WCW, the red and yellow Hogan, they were tired of that. Like it worked for about 5 minutes there.
He's getting
and
booed.
It was like,
especially in 95.
The Dungeon of Doom.
Golden.
Like the Dungeon of Doom trying to end Hulkamania was like, oh god.
It's like you're positioning them as the heels. They're a horrible group, but people were still cheering them because they wanted them to go away.
Yeah, the original one, I heard that in the arena. The original, they used Voodoo Child unless they switched a chord and I didn't notice. But now, if you watch the shows now, they use a fake version of Voodoo Child.
Yeah.
Back then, they used the real thing. They change it all on the network. Like now, he doesn't even come out to a fake Voodoo Child on the network anymore. It used to be a fake one. Now they just dub the NWO theme over his music because you can always tell the way the crowd would react differently on the taping shows. When we watch the old pay-per-views, the crowd reacts differently when Hogan comes out when it's just like the end as opposed to just like NWO members.
Yeah.
But yeah, Voodoo Child, and I freaking love that song. I don't like the first, like the original version. I like the Slight Return version better.
Yeah.
I always have. I don't know. But I was
because when they show it when he's actually mimicking the song and saying "chop her down with the edge of my hand," and
playing the air guitar at the beginning,
it doesn't fit with the music they put into it.
It does not work. It does not work at all.
They even did that with the Goldberg theme for a while before they finally got the rights to it back.
Yep.
They would pipe in, in old versions, they would pipe in their new version that Jim Johnson was trying to mimic.
Yeah.
Which had to have been weird for him. He's like, I'm writing all these great original bangers. Why are you having me do a fake version of this?
Yeah. Yeah. And his songs, like we listened to we did that Deadly Game pay-per-view. And the song Jim Johnson wrote for that, Dude, I just listened to that song and it's a deadly game. I mean, the song is so good. It's like that. It's that you can tell it's that late 90s. That's from what, 98. It's like the song is fire. Like I love Jim Johnson's theme songs. I mean, he worked for the Fed for what, 40 years?
Something like that, yeah.
I
Forever.
mean, think about the 90s. We're talking about different eras of theme songs like Max Moon, Atom Bomb. I mean, the theme songs that were so comical. I have a disc I've had for years. It's got like 200 themes from wrestlers from like 1990 to like 2010, I think it is. And some of the early ones, like what was you had the Allied Powers. I mean, these so obscure. But I liked when we were talking about guys coming into the Fed, Chris Benoit used Our Lady Peace, whatever, which that song's fire.
It is.
That song is
you can't play it
fire.
anymore.
No.
Because they're like, everyone's like, hey, that guy murdered his family to that song.
I got in trouble using that on the air on the radio station I worked for because I would switch and use sometimes I'd use different wrestlers themes to come onto the air to do. I'd be like Saturday, would it be like November 4th, 2023? It's DJ SKN, and then the music would play for about 10 seconds, and I'd have the whatever you want, whatever you need, the Chris Benoit kick in, or I'd use Brock Lesnar's music, that dun 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 dun, and then kick in. I'd start doing the intro. But yeah, they the station manager was like, hey, he goes, you can't use that, especially. He goes, with what that guy did. I'm like, it's a song. I'm like, so are you telling me that I'm like, nobody's gonna play this song just because? I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, Metalingus by Alter Bridge. That is a great. That is a lot of these songs you could just listen to them. That's what I like about that. When you can take an entrance theme and you can just put it on and listen to it, like it doesn't even have to have music. Like Undertaker's Ministry song, like with the bells at the beginning. Like, dude, WWF The Music Volume 3 is almost like the pinnacle of entrance themes.
Yes.
Well, even Diesel's original without the blues, where it was just straight blues music without the semi truck, the engine, and all. It's on one of the CDs. You can just play it. It's just blues, man.
Yeah. Jake the Snake's Jeff Carrico said Jake the Snake's song sound like early synthwave. Oh, it was from Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'll never forget that Howard Finkel announcing him, and that music kicked in. It kind of swells, and he come down to the ring with that bag with Damien in it. Oh man, and that's the thing. Like you're talking about, like working for the gimmick and everything. That right there, that you pop the crowd with your song and just walking out through the curtain without even doing anything, you're over. That right there is huge. I've used themes like the first theme I ever had was Undead by Hollywood Undead, which is emo as all get out. You're talking like 2007, 8. Did not match my gimmick at all. I used it one show and the promoter's like, and I was working for that promoter. He goes, bro, you got to switch it up. He goes, Pete Daddy Dollar. He goes, come up with something else. He goes, that's more rap. I'm like, all right. So I'm looking, and I started using Ballin' by Jim Jones, except my buddy, who was my co-promoter, James, was my tag partner eventually. He's like, hang on a second. He goes, let me do something for this. He goes, don't just use the song. He put the Dave Chappelle, I'm rich, bitch, at the beginning of it. And then you hear the cash register go cha-ching. And then, that I wear a mean dark pair of shades kicks in. Then the Jim Jones, we football, that shit. That was like the crowd fucking pop. And I was just an announcer. I wasn't even a ring announcer. I was a color commentator. And I was like, I want music. I'm like, when JR and King come out at the beginning before the show even starts, JR comes down to Boomer Sooner. He's got the Oklahoma fight song. Jerry's got his King theme he used when he was wrestling. I was like, me and my partner, who was a baby face, who's an absolute fucking tool bag. His SE Rocks, and he was straight edge. That was his. He was straight edge. I'm like, okay, CM Punk generic version 2.0 with no talent or charisma. All right. And I would sit there at the announce table and just get shit faced the whole show. And the more the show went on, the more I would pick on him. And I was like, why don't you do something useful since you're play by play and you can't even do that right? Why don't you go get me another drink? I'm like, careful, you might smell it and get dry. Just rib this guy the entire show. And he was like, he was trying to pick some theme song. And actually, I think the song he picked, I can't remember. It was one of the songs Punk used. That ECW song he used. Remember in WWE?
Yeah. God,
This fire burns or whatever. He was like, can I use that? And the other promoters are like, and he was friends with one of the promoters. And my buddy James, who we're all like run the car, he looks at me and he's like, yeah, okay, CM Punk, you're straight edge, and now you want to use his music too? And he's like, ugh. It was
the one thing that Mick Foley did that I really, really liked, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it before or since, was when he was first coming out as Mankind. You had the entrance music, but his exit music was different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved that.
It was so unique.
Yeah.
It was so unique. And the crowd reacted to it once they figured out, it's like, wait a sec, because nobody had done that before.
And I haven't seen anyone do it since. You know, because and again, wrestlers, they do get so synonymously linked with their entrance music. But I liked the fact that he had that exit theme.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it was such a big deal when they changed Austin's to the Disturbed one, which sucked.
Yeah.
I hated that. I'm like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Because your pancakes are still living inside of me.
Well, it's like when Goldberg switched to using Crush 'Em by Metallica. Or not Metallica. Fuck, I'm going to get my music cred drop for that. Megadeth.
Because he was wasn't that Megadeth?
Yes, because he was promoting the sequel to Universal Soldier. And they used that theme song for him to come out. It just doesn't fit him at all. I mean, I understand the cross promotion, but use it maybe as a one-off. But don't replace his theme entirely.
No.
Another good one that really helped his gimmick was Jeff Jarrett when he switched from the country music to the version of Cowboy. When at the beginning it was like chosen one, and then you hear the beginning guitar riff from Cowboy kick in, and it just like hit the beat. But they added some horns in, which really at the high end they added the horns in, which I was like, man, it's catchy. Goldberg's theme was used by a different wrestler before him.
Yep.
It was a jobber too.
Yeah. Well, and it was a generic piece of basically music that Warner had in, basically have a catalog of generic music that, shows can use. Cause I've heard Goldberg's theme in a TV show before, cause it was I think it was on Discovery Channel, it was some other Warner station that they own, but that was just a book of,
the Hollies
music,
the Hollies theme. They use that on Spike TV for their commercial bumpers. I've heard that in commercials for years, and I'm like, is that copyright free?
I don't think it's copyright free, but it's probably the amount of money they have to pay to use it is so much less than if they had to pay a larger artist. Yeah. That's the one thing with AEW. I mean, he's gonna go bankrupt if he keeps shelling out these massive amounts of money for these songs, like with Orange Cassidy and all them, because music rights are not cheap. I mean, like I said on your show, 4 seconds of Steve Carell singing 2 Tickets to Paradise cost NBC $200,000.
It was worth it though.
Well, the joke was worth it, but still, I mean, the music licensing fees are just outrageous.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I can see why WCW did what they did with Jericho and Raven and DDP, because they didn't want to shell out that much money in the 90s, which would have been still exorbitant.
Oh, very much. Very much. Yeah. Because all those groups were at their pinnacle then. Well, except Nirvana, because Kurt Cobain was already dead at that point. Yeah. He had already offed himself because, I mean, well, Courtney Love and all.
I saw a meme once, and I wish I'd saved it, but someone had dummied up a Guitar Hero set, and it was the Nirvana pack, and it came with a guitar, and it also came with one of those fake shotguns from a Cabela's Big Hunter.
Nice.
Like, that's dark, but very funny.
There's been so many times me and my friends were at bars, and they have that hunting game there. And I'd go over to the jukebox and put on like a Nirvana song, and I'd walk over and be like, guys, check it out, I'm Kurt Cobain. They're like, Jesus Christ.
Look, I'm Kurt Cobain.
Yep.
Yep.
Come as you are. Pow. Oh shit.
As you was.
Yeah.
Although when it comes to modern entrance themes, unfortunately it's kind of become a dying art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TNA had a few good ones in their kind of their heyday. Well, I mean, of course, the Jeff Jarrett and Christian Cage still come out to their TNA themes.
Yep.
And those are two really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Sting's was weird because the timing, I couldn't figure out the timing of the beginning of that song, because it's not a 4/4, but just trying to count it out to the riff just doesn't work. It's weird.
Who's Cage?
It Stings when he was in TNA.
Oh yeah.
It was a weird one, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think in the Fed of anyone's music that I even recognize, and LA Knight's about really the only one.
I don't know. Well, I know Orton's been out for a while. I like Burning My Light by, was that Marcy Drive? I really, that worked when he switched to that Voices song. I was like, ugh, it's so slow. It just like, it didn't resonate with me. I liked RVD's because, dude, Pantera Walk, that was RVD's song. Like, I grew up with him in ECW. That was Rob Van Dam's song. And then when he come over and they had that One of a Kind song they started using for him. At first I was like, and then I'm like, this isn't really bad. Kane's is good too. What is that?
Like Into the Fire or something like that.
Isn't that Saliva?
I think so. I'd have to actually.
Josie Scott. I want to say it's Saliva that did Kane's. I was like, damn, that one's a heater too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that Kane, you talk about an entrance that gives you, I'm getting like goosebumps, like just when that pyro hit, dude, when I would go to Raws and Kane was there, that pyro hits, that opening guitar riff, and then it kind of slows down for a second, the vocals kick in, and then it goes right back up. And it's just like the whole arena, the energy, that's what a good entrance can do. It brings the entire crowd up. And I'm not the biggest Orange Cassidy fan, but I love that song. I love that song before Orange Cassidy. I knew he used it. Was that Jefferson Starship?
Yeah.
I think I have some of their 8 tracks, but I mean,
I have a beef with Jefferson Starship because they wrote, I think, the worst song of the 80s. And maybe the worst song of all time. We Built This City.
God damn you, I love that song.
I
love that fucking song.
I want to jump off a cliff every time I hear it.
It's not rock though. That's like synth. Like that's like more synth.
Not even good synth.
No, but I still love the song because it like that came out. I was probably like, I want to say like 4 or 5 years old, maybe. And it's just one of those songs that just like I remember listening to that song in my mom's or my dad's car as a kid. Before my dad would change the channel. My mom would turn it up, my dad would change the channel. Because he was kind of like, he's like, this isn't Jefferson Starship.
We're old, man. We're complaining. I get it.
That's like, I don't know what this is. He said that was I don't know. This isn't them though. I have their music. This isn't it. Like, but it's so funny. You're talking about like progressive music. Like my dad used to listen to like all like the rock and all that, and he at some point, like I don't even know why, he just started listening to country all of a sudden. And that's what he listens to country and like old like big band type stuff. But it was just like it was weird because like my dad was always like rock and roll type, and then it was like the country. And I'm like, it took some getting used to, because we used to like train together and we're working out. And I'm like, Dad, I can't bench 250 listening to like Conway Twitty. I can't do it. I can't. It's not going to help me. Like, oh, the music shouldn't matter. I'm like, the music helps.
Yeah.
Like, it's a psychological thing, man. Like, and we're talking about theme songs. How have I not mentioned one of my favorites I used to use when I was lifting real heavy was I Walk Alone, Batista's song. I say what you want about Batista. His music was better than him, though. Like, I was like, and another one,
Motorhead.
Oh God, yeah. Well, anything Motorhead is like, but no, Bobby Roode, Glorious. When they had the choir on stage, dude, that was like it. It made Bobby Roode, though, because Bobby Roode is a good worker, but he's pretty vanilla as far as like appearance and everything else goes. Like, he's a good heel, but a vanilla one. Works better in a tag team.
Yeah.
That got him over as like a face. Like, that song alone, and him doing those little, I can't remember the two guys backstage.
It was him and I think it was Ciampa, wasn't it? No, it was Gargano.
Was it who the two guys? Was it Ciampa and Gargano backstage? They'd always have his shit playing, and then he'd be like, that shit, it killed me every time, because I'm like, dude, they're like playing into it. And I'm like, it works because it's putting him over. It's putting his music over, and it builds that reaction in the fans' mind and their psyche that, it's like, it's something when you hear, and any good worker, when you hear their music. And that's why when you're talking about entrances, and we see this in AEW more because we watch that more than anything else. When somebody does a run-in, their music should not be queued up.
No.
It's in the middle of the match. Somebody comes out to make a save or do a run-in to interfere. Don't play their music. Like, no, it's supposed to be a surprise. The crowd will react more when they see them, when they hear, it's like, no. Don't do that. Like, that's the only time you should, or when it's like really serious and they get that walk down to the ring. They're barely acknowledging the fans, be it a heel or a face, that serious walk. Don't play their music. Any other time, they're coming down for an interview, promo spot, play the music. Interference, stuff like that, or a really serious situation, you don't play it. Because I think we even did that once, because we were really big. Like, they would give us 12 to 15 for a tag match, and they're like, not counting the 15 minutes for Pete and James to make their entrances.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
We would come down, and there was only seating on 3 sides. We would circle the whole ring, go back, walk through the crowd, heel on the crowd, get into the ring, hold the ropes open for our valet, Nikki, to get in, and then I would hit the turnbuckles, I would hit the hard cam, I would go tell the announcers to go fuck themselves. I mean, it was like, and yeah, then it's like, well, when it come time, the ring announcer would go to announce us, our music's still playing, I'd go, cut the music, I'd grab the mic from the ring announcer and be like, you have no idea what you're doing, give me that damn microphone, and I would announce, and we would take turns announcing each other. But that's the thing, I was like, just keep our music rolling until I tell you to cut it. Like, I want, because it's going to come across better on TV. Like, we're I'm like, just keep it going. Don't cut the music when we get in the ring. Cut the music when I tell you to cut it. So we had a good sound guy. So, but yeah, that man, my favorite entrance theme out of all of them, I would say I have 2. The one I would say most known for would be Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West. With my gimmick, even as a baby face, it worked because I would have the crowd singing along with the song, because the crowd was like 50% black and 50% Mexican. So like, that shit hit, and they see me come down with, all my bling swinging around and shit, the big diamond earrings, and they would, it's like, oh my God, who is this white boy? And, fucking the rap and the suits and everything, it would pop, the crowd would sing, and I would go through almost the entire song. And I was just a ring announcer at that point. beginning of the show, it's like, no, we're gonna do the whole thing. And that one, and then I used R.I.P., but the remix version by Young Jeezy and all that. And that was another one. When we were working bar shows in Detroit, you would have dudes in the crowd say, I've been rapping the whole freaking song. It was like, they'd like boo when if they cut the music off, my music too soon. When I got in the ring, the crowd would start booing. And I'd be like, hit the music, hit the music again, and that's a way, like that right there. And I loved ring announcing because number one, I got paid more than I did when I wrestled most of the time. I'd make $100 to go ring announce because I'm in front of the crowd more than anybody else. So it was like, I got my music before the show when the show started, and then I got my music after intermission. So it's like, I can heat it up really good and really put no effort into it, come out, hit the ropes, slap, shake hands, kiss babies, and, let the crowd get live while the music goes on. And then it's like, I start announcing, then like, here comes, ba, 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 ba. And thing about the indies is, dude, you have like a guy coming out to AC/DC, then a dude coming out to Metallica or whatever, And I mean, so the crowd was like live all night, and you get a good match on top of that. And it's like, you put 9 matches on, run a 2.5 hour show, an indie show, and your crowd is like, they're never sitting on their hands, and that's a problem I see with the theme songs they use now and the way the matches work. It gives the crowd too much time to sit on their hands. That's right. Kiss hands and shake babies.
What's up, Scrambles?
Like a Casey Anthony.
Well, so the question I'm going to ask, what's your favorite, actual entrance theme for, another wrestler, not specifically yourself, but
yeah.
I really want to go into first. What is your, like, the one that you hate the most, the one that drove you insane for both of you guys?
Go ahead, Adam.
Ultimate Warrior.
Well, yeah, because it really didn't do anything.
Absolutely nothing. You knew that he was going to come, run out, be gassed, and then do a couple moves, and then the match is over within a minute, right? Like, I mean, I get that for younger kids and stuff and the younger generation back then, but yeah, for me, like, that entrance didn't. When the Honky Tonk Man's music hit, dude, you knew who was coming. You were kind of excited to see the Honky Tonk Man come. He might get hit in the head with a guitar. I always wanted to see the Honky Tonk Man versus Jeff Jarrett. I mean, come on. Or make him a tag team and let him just take the division, But yeah, that to answer your question, yeah, it was Ultimate Warrior. He just, I don't know, it did absolutely nothing for me.
Mr. Etep, how about you?
It's tough because favorite.
No, I want to do the one that upset you the most, the one that was the worst.
Upset me the most.
Like if you heard it, you were going to be flipping the channel because you didn't even want to pay attention to who the fuck it was.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
No, I liked Hacksaw. I mean, the older I got, but
I'm not talking about the wrestler. I'm talking about the music.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
It is.
Although mine, I already have on the tip of my tongue. So
honestly, one of them might surprise people, and that is the Rockers, because I hated the Rockers. I hated Shawn Michael. I hated Marty Jannetty. I liked Michaels later on, but their music annoyed me. And the Rougeau brothers, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, that was like, it was like an ew. And then we talked a little bit about the American Males music later on. That was another one that was just like, oh God. Oh, that was like, I want to go see what's going on over on Raw because I can't stand this one.
It was so corny, dude.
But
it was so gay.
I would say American Males or like the Rockers music, something like that. Like those are probably equal in vehement dislike for me.
All right. But here's where you're both wrong. It's X Factor by Uncle Kracker.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's so bad. I tried to block it out.
No, I'm bringing up PTSD.
Oh, that is shit.
And it did create an entire new term, X-Pac heat. when you hate them so much, and it's not because they're good or bad as a heel, you just want them gone.
Yep.
You don't want them anywhere near the ring, the TV, anything. And that song was the biggest factor of that. That song is horrible.
It is. Now X-Pac's own theme, when he that's on the Music Volume 3, that one's good.
Yeah.
That X Factor theme, it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what? Yeah, that it was just Uncle Cracker dubbed over the song. Like, they just edited it. That was bad. Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. Oh,
yeah, that's the most horrible one I can remember because it's just.
What's your least favorite wrestling theme, and why is it the X Factor?
Yeah. Why is it not the X Factor?
It should be. Yes, I blocked that out. Years of therapy, and now it's back.
I mean, you kind of went all time, so I went back to the '80s where I started watching wrestling. You know what I mean? And it's just for me, that as bad as that. Well, I'm sorry, the Ultimate Warrior, man. For me, that's just
at least I can still listen to the Ultimate Warrior theme and not want to commit seppuku. X Factor will do that. I'm surprised there's not a specified wing in a loony bin somewhere with a bunch of wrestling fans in padded rooms and wearing straight jackets going, "You listen to the X Factor," and they're just singing it to themselves in a quiet corner.
As they rock.
Okay, so now that we got the horribleness out of the way, favorite. And it could be from any era, 80s to now, any Fed.
Ooh, it's either the NWO or Ric Flair. Like Ric Flair used the 2001: A Space Odyssey theme for as long as I can remember. And I know he took the name from, was it Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers, but back in the NWA to WCW to, WWE, that song, when that hit, it was like, it's showtime. Same thing with the NWO. When that music hit, you that new world order. It's like, oh shit, it's here they come, and this mob of black and white shirts. But Ric Flair, the swell of the beginning of that, and then him coming out doing the spin with the sequin robes, that crescendo, and then he goes, oh my god, that one. And then another one is the Road Warriors, not Legion of Doom, the fucking Road Warriors. What a rush! And they used to use Iron. I think they used Iron Man at one point, which in NWA was like, as a kid, it's like, and the shoulder pads. I still had, those were the first 2 wrestling action figures I ever got, and I still have them to this day. And me and my kid play with them. The old AWA Remco figures. But yeah, that's like my Mount Rushmore is like the NWO, Ric Flair, LOD, and probably Real American, Hulk Hogan song from the 80s. That's like my Mount Rushmore of wrestling themes. I know I'm leaving some good ones off there.
I don't even remember Glacier's entrance.
Oh, dude. Blood Runs Cold.
Yeah.
He had like a techno, but he had like a techno theme though.
Oh yeah, because they were trying to
Glacier, or he was at Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Well, you had him, you had Glacier, Wrath, and Mortis.
Yep.
And all 3 of those guys were basically like Mortal Kombat type ripoffs.
And as much as I like the wrestlers themselves, yeah, those were pretty crappy gimmicks.
Oh, very. The good thing about Wrath and Mortis was you had James Vandenberg, the Sinister Minister, who was a chef's kiss on the microphone and as a manager. That guy was freaking amazing.
He's still good.
Psychology-wise, he's up there. He's up there with Heyman, I think, honestly, as a manager. And Paul Bearer. Vandenberg doesn't get nearly enough credit.
No. How about you, Pop?
Well, I mean, I have to agree with Etep. I'm wearing this shirt. I mean, NWO was a big one. So for like group wise, I'm going to agree, like NWO was a big one. Where I'm going to curve on you though, my friend, is Randy Savage. And it's a hard one to go because the heels back then, your Rick Rudes, your Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennings, like their themes. But Bret the Hitman Hart, that was a solid theme back in the day as well. You know, to Superstar Billy Graham, you know, when they had him, or Jesse Ventura. I mean, because you know they always had different themes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, for me, I was a Savage fan from day one. It was the Macho Man Randy Savage. I love Flair. Don't get me wrong. You know, when it's Flair versus Hogan, I'm a Flair guy. You know, but yeah, Savage. I always loved Savage's theme, and like newer themes and stuff. Like I don't really. Yeah, it's the wrestling of today. I don't know most of the themes, and I don't really care for most of the wrestling. You know, some of it's all right from here and there, but I miss I miss the 80s and 70s and 80s and 90s, you know, when it was really, really, really good. We got to watch it build up and fall.
I got a couple of ones, and one's kind of a curveball, but the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Especially the last one that they did before WCW shut their doors with the horses coming, and then I'm just that theme is so killer. And then Cactus Jack in the Fed.
Yep.
I love that theme so much. There's just something about the way it's played, and just that it's still blues, but it's still also rock at the same time. And it really fit Cactus Jack's character, which I don't really, Mick Foley never had a bad theme.
No,
he didn't. I love the original.
Dude Love song. Even the Dude, that was another earworm. I did not like the gimmick. I've never liked that Dude Love gimmick. I hated it. I'm like, after growing up and watching Cactus Jack, you know, come along and become who he was, that guy was like, what? He went from Mankind to this? Like, oh,
Junkyard Dog. That's another good theme that's kind of been
was
lost.
It Grab Them Cakes?
Yeah.
Yes, dude. That's on the cassette I have. Absolutely. That is a fantastic theme. I sold that action figure. Is that wrong? Can I say I sold a black action figure?
Who happens to be wearing chains?
He had his chain. He had the dog collar chain that he came with. It's the 80-something LJN one. I sold the thing for like $125, I think. I still have Hogan, Hillbilly Jim with his hat, and I have Macho Man. And I have the old LJN ring that I got for Christmas, but I didn't get any of those guys. That's when I got the Road Warrior figures. Because my mom couldn't find the NWA ring. So she got me the WWF one, but she got me the NWA figures, which I was fine with. Or they were AWA at the time, I think.
Now, the other one I really love, and it's a specific version of it. I still love Sting's WCW Crow theme.
Yeah.
But the version that I really like was the one from Ready to Rumble, when George S. Clinton, not George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic, George S. Clinton, the composer, did a full orchestral version of it for the Ready to Rumble soundtrack. And that one's just, you can really feel the power when the timpanis is coming and start banging. And it's just a lot more powerful than the one they did in WCW, because obviously they were doing it on a budget.
Yeah. Dude, that's one thing too.
Why Jim Johnson is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, I have no idea.
Dude, he's a star maker with his themes. That without him, think about the landscape of wrestling as in terms of like how the gimmicks were perceived, because like you said earlier, the theme, the entrance music is just as important as the look almost to the gimmick that the guys portray, you know, your workers portraying. And it is without Jim Johnston, man, he's done all the big ones for the last 30-40 years.
Axe and Smash and Demolition. Think about that for a minute. Take their theme away.
Yep. I mean, none of those matches I don't think would have gotten over
the Smasher. We're Demolition.
I mean,
Disaster.
When you say like favorite song, and that's the thing. I mean, you there's in eras like because you've got ECW, old school WCW, WWF, WWF. You know, all, depending on how far back you go. But you know what? We were spoiled that we got to see all these wonderful things.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, like,
I even the DX theme is great.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
dude.
the tone.
Nation of Domination.
Yep. Oh God. Yeah.
I mean, even mid Carters had fucking bangers.
Yes.
The new
shit.
Shawhans, I mean,
It was Another One Bites the Dust.
oh, that's right.
JYD's
I had
original.
watched-
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I just watched The Dark Side of the Ring with him a few weeks ago.
JYD, man.
Yep.
Dude was over in the South in a day when he wasn't supposed to get over in the South.
Yep.
That's the beauty of wrestling. Is it's so, and this is the thing with, like, I don't want to get off topic here, but it bothers me now seeing all the DEI stuff pushed into wrestling when it's like, dude, I've been in locker rooms where I was the minority, and you know how many problems I had in the locker room? That many. I mean, I got, and I've told you guys this. I got the end pass in the locker rooms I was in because they're like, you're a cool ass white boy. We like you. You're down, and we give you the golden pass. And I'm like, can I get that in writing so I can show this off?
They're like, no.
Yeah, right. But it was, man. And that's the thing is, like, especially we're talking about, to correlate it back to music, it was like they see, it's like, well, who's this white? And then it's like, get the gimmick on, and they're like, wait a minute. And then Young Jeezy hits or Kanye hits, and or I use Trick Daddy a couple times on spot shows, and they come down, and they're like, God, this
Clinton, you bastard. Leighton Dermy. For those of you who don't know, Dermy Wormy is another YouTuber that I'm on his show on Ballbusters on Friday nights, and the running gag is that he's a little fruity.
No fruity.
And lives at a truck stop near a glory hole.
I can see that.
I don't know if he actually is, but
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's his gimmick,
Yeah,
you gotta live the gimmick.
He's like Adrian Adonis then.
Pretty much.
It's the flower shop with Dermy. Remember Adrian Adonis? Was it him? He had the flower shop. Yeah. But no, that's the thing, man. Like the music, it connects you to your, not only your audience but the other workers. I mean, it's like if the other guys don't buy your gimmick, then you're not going to fit in the locker room.
No. And I really actually do like the fact that now that the fans are starting to sing along with certain wrestlers. Like Jericho obviously is a big one. I mean, they stop the music and they keep going.
Yep.
So I did love seeing Jericho get to stand at Wembley and pull the Freddie Mercury.
Yep.
For that many people, and then hearing 86,000 people singing your song that you wrote. Yeah. That I don't know if I could survive that. I'd just be like so amazed at it. I'd probably just shrivel.
I would cry, dude. I would cry and be like, this is something that like 0.0000001% of people will ever get to experience. Yeah. Like, for me, the biggest thing I ever had was getting a "you fucking suck" chant and them filling the ring up with garbage when we turned this guy, heel into our stable, kind of like did an NWO type reveal, ripped his hoodie off, and he's got the black and white team rating shirt on. And we go through the 6-man tag. We beat the baby faces, and we got a "you fucking suck" chant. They're throwing garbage in the ring, and we're just sitting there like, healing out on them and, doing our thing. We get backstage and every one of the boys is fucking giving us one of these because they're like, holy mother of heat. Like, you guys got like nuclear heat. It was like, dude, that's a WCW moment. We got the ring filled up with garbage. I'll never be able to sing in front of 86,000 people, but in front of, 150, I got them to fill the ring up with trash at least. But then they're still buying, but this is the thing. Then they still buy our t-shirts for $25 a pop when we come out at intermission or in between tapings, is heels who just beat the hell out of the guys that they're cheering and crying when they lose, because half of these marks in the indies, that's like, it's still real to me, damn it. And I love that fans still get that invested in. I do. I want, it's like, I've been invited to go to like one of my boys' shows, and he was like, you can, he wanted me to come out and announce. He's like, you can use whatever music you want, which I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm going back to Yeezy, man. I'm going to start using Yeezy again. And then it was like, I thought better of it. I'm like, I can't do this. And he still wants me to come out and go to the shows and hang out backstage. I'm like, I can't. I can't go to shit. It's like, dude, once you've been there and it's like, I can't like that. I want to, I'd love to be an agent, but I can't do it.
Awesome. Well, we are getting towards the end of the show here. I wanted to thank both of you so much for filling in last minute.
No problem.
I'm happy to do it, man.
When you're running the show by yourself, it's kind of hard to be. I'm the booker and the talent and the producer and all that. Trying to do it on my own. So I do want to thank you both for popping.
We're huge wrestling fans, if you can't tell.
Yeah, this was fun, man.
It's just like I get to talk about two things that I love at the same time, which is great. I love music. I love wrestling. So
sorry I rambled.
No, that's the whole point. Thanks, Tulsa, dickhead. He's my bass player, so we're shitting on each other all the time.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, I felt that. The fact that I got to play at the Canes Ballroom here in Tulsa. That's a historic venue. It was for a private party. I didn't care. I'm sitting on the stage where the Sex Pistols played in '79.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. So I can understand that feeling from a musician's perspective, getting to fulfill a bucket list item like that and just, that exhilarating feeling you get from it. So, but for what I wanted to do is let you guys, tell us where they can find you, how they can follow you. Because obviously we want to, help promote your guys' channels and spread the love as we go. So, Mr. Adam, where can we find you?
So you'll find me with Mr. Etep Wokuian, but I'll let him plug himself. Giggity. You can find me every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Men's Room with Seth and David Applegate and guests. We have Wednesdays with Trina, also Real Horror. You'll catch me on there doing some horror stuff, and on with Vinny Tartamello usually on Fridays, Thursdays, Wednesday. Yeah, it's a long week. Everybody's always together, right? But
I know.
Vinny's on Fridays and Sundays. There you go, Fridays and Sundays, and then he hosts on every other Thursday usually with Tommy. So yeah, I'm usually with those fellows as well. So
very awesome. And your everyone's links are in the description. So follow on Twitter, follow on YouTube. Both Etep and I have Rumble channels, so follow us there because we like to build our brands in places that Papa Susan can't whack us for. So Mr. Etep, where can we find you?
You can find me at Etep Wokuian's The Place to Be Reviews. Excuse me. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. We do classic WCW, WWF, ECW pay-per-views on Tuesday, which will be, I forgot to do it last week. We'll be starting to use our randomizer, which will take audience suggestions. We'll put them into our randomizer. We'll do it on screen. We'll show you guys which pay-per-view gets selected for the next week. We're going to start doing that this week as we didn't have one because of the Halloween holiday, honestly. So, that'll be back. We have Holy Shit News on Wednesday nights, 8:35. Sorry, Monday night Going in Raw. Every Monday night, 8:35 Eastern. CJ's on with me Monday, Wednesday. And when we do the Saturday show, Saturday night's main event, you can catch us over there too. 9, usually about, we kind of bumped it up to about 8:15 to 8:30. And then we usually play Mario Kart afterwards on Saturdays. I do horror content now because regular pop culture has gotten so bad. I got to go back to my wheelhouse and talk about horror. So pretty much all of my single release videos from here on out are about horror or horror related content. I have a ton of stuff on Halloween. I've got 2 more videos to shoot tonight after we're done here and get over to the editor. Big shout out to Good Stuff, my editor. And he's also on our panel on Wednesday nights for Holy Shit News. Members, we have channel memberships, $2.99, $4.99. And if you don't want to join, that's cool. You can just subscribe because that's free. You always will be. You can follow me on Twitter at The Place to Be RE1, on Instagram at N80Pete. Facebook, we have a Facebook group, the official Place to Be Reviews fan page, and on Rumble at the Place to Be Reviews. Thank you, CJ. It's been great being here, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Always fantastic to have you guys. And don't forget, if you want to have that good gimmicky free coffee, don't forget coffeebrandcoffee.com. Use promo code CJP and get 10% off your first order. So go check that out and get some good brews so you don't go crazy in the mornings. But again, I wanted to thank both Adam and Etep for hopping on. Next week, we do have Sean Cav will be on, and we'll be talking bass guitar. So we appropriately titled the episode Slapping the Bass.
Slapping the Bass.
Slapping the Bass. So again, I want to thank all my musical minions for showing up. We got Tulsa, Jeff Carrico, Scrambles the Death Dealer, Clinton House, my regulars in the chat. We are small, but we are fucking mighty. So again, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Central. You guys have a wonderful day. And don't forget, just keep making music. Thank you.